Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another short little unboxing video to share with you guys. I don't know obviously there's a Bestech in here, but I don't know what knife is in here. This was sent in a package. The name on the outside is Eric. So thank you very much, Eric, for sending this. I don't know if this was like a from Bestech kind of thing or if it's from a designer. I'm not really sure. But I'm going to open it up and share it with you guys like I usually do. If this is something I can link, I will absolutely link it right down in the description for you guys to check out. It does help my channel when you use my links, but that is entirely up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Okay, so this is called the Strelitz 14C28N stonewashed and satin. Looks like it's probably a little knife, and it is. Okay. Or yeah. Yeah, I do remember this. Woo! What the heck? Listen, I wanted to look at this purely because it's kind of ridiculous, right? Now, obviously, this is meant as a self-defense apparatus, right? Raptor Talon. I would imagine it will work for that. I have never been in a scenario where I've been able to gather fighting data to compare and contrast, right? I'm not in that. For me, it is the angle, right? Similar, it's obviously different than my obsidian toenail, but I found that this makes for a wonderful unboxing tool, right? So if you were to use this on a box, let's see, what do I have here? What do I have? I don't want to use the Bestech box itself. We'll use a Civivi box here, right? So you can, we could get in here like this and have extreme control, precision control. I really feel like cutting towards myself with a claw-shaped blade is probably a recipe for disaster, so I'm not going to do that. These are, like it said, oh, this is Ostap Hell. Interesting. 14C28N, this is G10. Okay, so it really does, it flips, but it's such a weird sensation because the blade is, man, that just doesn't feel safe. Can you open it this way? You can. Okay, does this have like a wave, like will it pull, hold on, I'm gonna try it in my pocket. It is absolutely 100% designed to catch your pocket on the way out. It has that thing, right? So it'll do that. I'm struggling to come up with a reason that this would be practical for, day-to-day use. People are screaming, it wasn't designed for day-to-day use. It was designed for, I know, please, I get it, right? It's just that, you're just much more likely to fight a box than a ninja. It's just a more, it's just by whatever this is designed for, right? It's much more likely throughout this inanimate object's existence, right? If we want to take the ratio of, the times that the blade contacts cardboard versus the times that the blade contacts the nylon or whatever of a ninja suit or Kevlar on the outside of a human being, right? It's just overwhelming. Like, it's gonna be cardboard most of the time, right? So it's still totally relevant to talk about that, even though, truthfully, I don't know that I can really, I guess, okay, holding it like this, right? It's harder for me to hold it like this and want to like cut into it, but holding it like this and getting that little talon right there, yeah. So I get, you could do that. It's interesting the level of control you have here. I mean, it's different, but it'll work a little bit like that. I think most often the role that this knife is going to fill is conversation piece. It is interesting. And I'll tell you what, there's still a part of me that is like, ooh, weird fantasy ninja fighting object, right? Ooh, neat, right? It's like when you go to when you were a kid and you went into a flea market for the first time, right? And you're like, oh man, mystical tent of wonders, show me your treasures. And it's just like a guy with a cane. It's always a guy with and it's nothing against it. It's always a big guy with a beard and a tie-dye shirt, and he's got like a sort of wizard walking. It's like got a crystal orb on it, right? And he goes over and you're like, can I look at that? Well, let me see that ninja sword, right? Because laying right out, there's always like ninja swords on the wall, and then right underneath it, there's like throwing stars, and there's like nunchucks, and there's like crystal nunchucks for some reason. Yeah, as a kid, I was like, oh, wow, like I found the item store, right? It's literally like walking into the item store or the armorer store in Final Fantasy games, right? Except that everything in there is junk. This is the part of me that appreciated that stuff as a kid, because most of us have been there. I still am. It still makes me want to reach for this and like kind of play with it, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. The difference between this and some of the stuff that I was describing is that this is actually made with tolerances that will allow the thing to function relatively safely, considering it is already kind of a dangerous shape, right? The liner lock will actually, it's Bestech, so the geometry of, the liner lock is going to keep it. Should probably just do that on a piece of wood. Yeah. It'll hold it in place, right? And, if it were to disengage like this, well, you've got quite a bit of finger meat under there keeping that little raptor talon from coming down. It's also kind of humorous to me that it flips, right? It flips out to a 90-degree angle. And you can also, you can do it like this, or you can use the little unicorn horn thing. Ergonomically, in this position, it feels like that it's doing, it fits perfectly into your hand the way that it is designed to. Here, it's hard for me to critique the hotspot on the pocket clip because it's like, while you're repeatedly tearing through Kevlar, your hands might get an owie on the inside of your hand, right? It's kind of silly to critique it that way. I do not know how I'm going to review this, right? If I review this as a practical, it's funny how far away those two words are, tactical and practical, right? But they rhyme. If I review this as a practical cutting tool, I'm going to get lit up by it was designed as a fighting apparatus, right? I'm going to get lit up by those guys. Despite the fact that this is very unlikely to see combat. It just is. Like mathematically, it's just not, right? So I guess I kind of have to comment on that a little bit. I think what I'll do is apply my usual knife review process to this, and I will throw in some, I would imagine, as somebody who has absolutely no idea what they're talking about when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, I would imagine that this would work relatively well in this is the only thing I have kind of scenario, right? My actual thoughts on this is that this thing is kind of interesting and unique, and the reason I said yes to this is because we exist in a knife world where there's just too much of the same thing. We have gotten so zeroed in on what is perfectly practical, right? And we want that minimalist. We want no nonsense, please, sir. Yes, just give me a blade that is sharp at the end, deploys readily, and looks like maybe a pen or paperclip is in your pocket. I simply want to make the cut and proceed. And, I get that because there's, obviously there's practicality to that, But I've seen so much of it that I'm like, oh, give me the raptor talon thing because, it's weird and different, and I'm getting sick of seeing the same type of stuff over and over again. So, okay, yeah, this is not likely a very expensive knife, right? The nice thing is, if you're going to get something like this, you should definitely get something that's made, well. It's made to function safely, right? As long as you're not if you're like, well, what I do is punch brick walls all day. Probably not this, right? I don't know how you got that occupation, but probably not this, right? But if you're going to buy some weird sort of ninja thing with a blade on it, better that you go with a company like Bestech than Frost Cutlery or who, probably not. That's just you're just paying $14.95 for a $300 or $400 trip to the emergency room that is inevitable. So, I'll link this down below. You'll get a full review of this knife in a few weeks. I'm not sure how to approach it. Let me carry it for a little bit and see how I feel about it. Anyways, I think that's going to be pretty much it. Thanks so much to Bestech for sending this in. I legitimately am. This is fun. This is cool. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.